Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, today I'm going to teach about the peritoneum. Peritoneum, as such, it's a difficult topic to understand. So you concentrate on the lecture so that it becomes easy for you to understand. And it's very important topic. It is divided into two parts. So the first part I'll take today, and tomorrow the rest thing. Today I mainly concentrate on the folds of the peritoneum. Tomorrow the tracings. Okay, so you be attentive. Peritoneum, it's a Greek word it is derived from a Greek word peritonean, which means stretch around. This peritoneum, it's the largest serous sac which stretches over the different abdominal organs and the abdominal wall. It has two layers, visceral and parietal. This peritoneal cavity, this yellow cavity is a peritoneal cavity, yellow colored. This is divided into two parts, greater sac and a lesser sac. Lesser sac is present behind the stomach. As the name suggests, it's a small sac. Rest is the greater sac, which is a larger sac into which different abdominal organs are like they are floating. They are present in that sac. How the peritoneum is formed? Similar to the pleura, which I have taken in the last class, like in the while taking pleura. You can compare the peritoneum, the closed serous sac, with a balloon. Okay. Here, the different abdominal organs, they invaginate into this closed sac, that's the balloon. So the part which invests the organs intimately, other is the inner visceral layer, and the part outside is the outer parietal layer, and the space which remains between the visceral and parietal layer is the peritoneal cavity. So the peritoneum, it invests the different organs differently. Either it may cover the organ completely or partly, or only the anterior surface, like that. Depending on that, they are divided into different parts. So the pink one is the visceral layer, which covers almost all viscera of the abdominal cavity. Whereas parietal, it covers the abdominal parietes. That's the anterior undersurface, the inner surface of the abdominal wall, pelvis, the pelvic organs, and also the posterior abdominal wall. This green line, it represents the parietal layer, and the pink line, it represents the visceral layer. I hope now you know what is visceral layer and what is parietal layer. Yes or no? Is anybody there? Listening class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you understood what is visceral layer and what is parietal? Yes or no? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the pink layer is the visceral layer. You can see here, some organs, they are partly covered, and some of them they are completely covered. So depending on that, they are divided. Okay, visceral layer, it lines the outer surface of the organs. See, it lines the outer surface of the organs. It is firmly adherent to the organs which it covers. It's very difficult to strip the visceral layer which is covering the viscera. The visceral layer is derived from splanchnopleuric layer of lateral plate mesoderm. Wherever visceral layer, it is derived from splanchnopleuric layer of lateral plate mesoderm. The blood supply and nerve supply is same as that of the organs: visceral vessels and the autonomic nerves, that is parasympathetic and the sympathetic nerves. This visceral layer is not sensitive to pain, temperature, stretch sensations, but it is sensitive to stretching of different organs, stretching, distension, or ischemia of the different organs. In that case, we feel a little pain because of stretching of different organs which it covers. It lines the abdominal cavity, the pelvic cavities, and the undersurface of the diaphragm. You can see abdominal, intra-abdominal wall, it lines diaphragm, posterior abdominal wall, and the pelvic cavities. This parietal layer, it is loosely attached to the these structures, so it can be stripped easily. The parietal layer is derived from somatopleuric layer of lateral plate mesoderm. Hence, the parietal layer is supplied by the vessels and nerves which supply the abdominal parietes, such as the somatic vessels, the body vessels, body wall vessels, and the nerves. As it is derived from somatopleuric layer of lateral plate mesoderm and supplied by the somatic nerves, it is sensitive to pain, temperature sensation, pressure sensations. Okay. Now coming to the peritoneal cavity, which is there in between the visceral layer and the parietal layer. It's a potential space present between the two layers. It is filled with a thin film of serous fluid which lubricates the two layers, prevents the friction between the two layers. Around 50 to 100 ml of fluid will be there in between the two layers. In case of males, it's a closed sac, but in case of females, the peritoneal cavity is open because the pelvic ostia of the uterine tubes, as they are open, through these pelvic ostia, the peritoneal cavity in case of females, it is exposed to outside through the uterus and the vagina. Okay, you understood this? Like how the female peritoneal cavity is open. It is not closed. Through the pelvic ostia, it opens into the peritoneal cavity. Through the pelvic ostia, uterine tubes, uterus, cervix, and the vagina, the peritoneal cavity is open. Study how the peritoneal folds are formed embryologically. This is a transverse section of the developing embryo. You can see this is gut, developing gut, which is covered by, like it invests this peritoneal cavity and covered by the somatopleuric layer of lateral plate mesoderm, and this is the parietal layer. The gut is suspended from the anterior abdominal wall by the help of ventral mesentery and the posterior abdominal wall with the help of dorsal mesentery. The ventral mesentery, in most of the cases, it disappears. Only for the, you can see here, this is the ventral mesentery. Only in the upper part it remains and forms different folds, whereas in the lower part it is not there. Whereas the dorsal mesogastrium will be there throughout, helps in the formation of different folds and the ligaments, which suspends different parts of the gastrointestinal tract. This is the dorsal mesentery. When pertaining to the developing stomach, the dorsal mesentery is called as dorsal mesogastrium. Meso means the fold. The posterior fold of the peritoneum which suspends the stomach to the posterior abdominal wall, and this is the ventral mesogastrium which suspends the anterior part of the developing stomach to the anterior abdominal wall. This is the transverse section. If we take a section here, you can see this. This is the ventral mesogastrium. This is dorsal mesogastrium. This is developing stomach, which has the anterior border and the posterior border. because of enormous growth of the posterior border, it rotates to the left side, and the anterior border, it rotates to the right side. So along with this rotation of the stomach, the momentum, the dorsal and the ventral mesogastrium, they also rotate. See, this is a transverse section. You can see this is ventral mesogastrium, this is dorsal mesogastrium, this is developing stomach. In between the stomach and the anterior abdominal wall, into the ventral mesogastrium, the hepatic bud grows, which develops into the liver. Whereas posteriorly in the dorsal mesogastrium, the primitive splenic tissues develop, they coalesce and form the spleen. So in the ventral mesogastrium, the liver, it intervenes between the developing stomach and the anterior abdominal wall. Posteriorly, the spleen intervenes between the stomach and the posterior abdominal wall. With the growth of the stomach, the anterior border becomes the right border. This is the transverse section, this is the anterior part, this is posterior part. Can you see my cursor? Can you see the cursor?
Yes, ma'am.
So anterior part, this is posterior part. So the anterior border of the stomach rotates, comes to right side, whereas the posterior border, which grows enormously, forms the greater curvature. It forms the lesser left border. Okay. So these ligaments, the mesogastrium also rotates along with the rotation of the stomach. So the anterior part of the ventral mesogastrium, which is there in between the anterior abdominal wall and the liver, forms the falciform ligament. This thing. The ventral mesogastrium, which is there in between liver and the stomach, forms the lesser omentum. This is lesser omentum. The part of the dorsal mesogastrium between the stomach and the posterior abdominal wall, it is derived into two parts. Between the stomach and the spleen is gastrosplenic ligament. Between the spleen and the dorsal body wall forms the linorenal ligament. Lino means spleen. From spleen to kidney is linorenal ligament, or also called as splenorenal ligament. Okay, you understood this? Like how different folds are formed. This is in the upper part. The ventral mesogastrium is derived into two parts: falciform ligament between the anterior abdominal wall and the liver, lesser omentum between liver and the stomach. Dorsal mesogastrium is derived into two parts between the stomach and the spleen. It is gastrosplenic ligament. Between the spleen and the posterior abdominal wall and the kidney is the linorenal ligament. That is the ventral mesogastrium and dorsal mesogastrium, which suspends the upper part of the foregut, that is stomach. In the lower part, dorsal mesogastrium will be there. The part which suspends the small intestine is called the mesentery. Enteron means small intestine. The fold of the dorsal mesentery, which forms the mesentery, which suspends the coils of the small intestine to the posterior abdominal wall, is called mesentery. The part which connects the colon, that is large intestine, to the posterior abdominal wall, is called mesocolon. Meso is fold. What are the functions of this peritoneal cavity? It helps in easy movements of the viscera, which it contains, protection of different organs. It gives cushioning effect. Like different folds contain different amount of fat, which will give cushioning effect. Secretes a lubricating serous fluid, which prevents the friction between the two layers. Also helps for the absorption of the waste products. Hence, as it helps with the absorption, You can use it for the dialysis. When the kidneys are not functioning properly, that time the peritoneal cavity can be used for the dialysis. This supports different viscera of the body with the help of ligaments and the mesentery. Storage of fat, as I have told, between the folds of the peritoneum, this different folds, the abundant amount of fat will be there. Already we have studied about different, like how the different folds develop. Now different the relationship between the viscera and the peritoneum. As the different organs, they cover in varying amount by the peritoneal cavity. They are divided into different types. Intraperitoneal viscera, interperitoneal viscera, retroperitoneal viscera, subperitoneal viscera. Intra means inside. It is completely covered by the peritoneum. So it is within the peritoneum. It is almost covered by the peritoneum, but not wholly. Retro means it is behind. Retroperitoneum is only the anterior part of the different organs are covered by the, here you can see. This is intraperitoneal. This is peritoneal cavity. It is completely covered by the peritoneum, the visceral layer, hence suspended by the fold of the peritoneal cavity. So this is intraperitoneal. The whole of the organ is covered by the peritoneum and suspended by the fold of peritoneum. This is interperitoneal. Almost it is covered by the peritoneum. Part of it is not covered by the peritoneum. Example for intraperitoneal is the coils of the small intestine and transverse mesocolon, sigmoid mesocolon. Whereas interperitoneal, here this comes the ascending and descending, transverse ascending and descending colons are interperitoneal. Retroperitoneal, kidney, the pancreas, they are covered with the peritoneum on their anterior surface. Here, the peritoneum is covering the anterior surface. So these are retroperitoneal organs. One more is subperitoneal. This is the sagittal section of the abdomen and the pelvis. You can see the pelvic organs, bladder, seminal vesicles and the rectum. In case of males, the peritoneum is covering the upper surface. So these organs are below the peritoneum. So subperitoneal, sub is below. In case of females, bladder, uterus, rectum, the upper surface is covered by the peritoneum. So these are the subperitoneal organs. So that is about the different viscera, depending on like how they are covered by the peritoneum, either fully or partially or only anterior surface. Depending on that, the different folds are named, like which organ they suspend or cover. Meso is fold. Meso is attached to the organs. Suppose that fold or meso is covering or suspending the small intestine. Enteron, it is mesentery. Large intestine, it is mesocolon. Stomach, omentum is related to the stomach. The folds of the peritoneum which covers the stomach are called as omentum, lesser omentum, greater omentum. And different ligaments suspend the, like they connect the organs to the abdominal wall, such as lienorenal ligament, gastrosplenic ligament, falciform ligament. Okay. These are the folds of the peritoneum. Important one, greater omentum, lesser omentum, related to the stomach, mesentery, related to the Small intestine, mesoappendix, the fold of the peritoneum for the appendix, transverse mesocolon for the transverse colon, sigmoid mesocolon for the sigmoid colon. Omentum, it's a double layered fold of the peritoneum that suspends the stomach to adjacent organs. This is stomach, which is J-shaped organ. The lesser omentum, this is the lesser omentum, which connects the liver to the lesser curvature of the stomach. This is lesser curvature of the stomach, is lesser omentum. From the greater curvature, apron-like fold of the peritoneum descends down, that is the greater omentum. This yellow layer, what we can see is the greater omentum. Lesser omentum, this is the lesser omentum. The lesser omentum, it connects the liver to the lesser curvature of the stomach. This is the posterior surface of the liver. The lesser omentum, the upper attachment of the lesser omentum is L-shaped. It has a horizontal limb and a vertical limb. This is a horizontal limb. It covers around the porta hepatis. Porta hepatis is a transverse fissure through which the structures enter the liver or leave, like the hilum. Porta hepatis is the hilum of the liver, through which the hepatic artery, portal vein and bile duct, they either enter or leave the liver. This porta hepatis, it is covered by, this is the anterior layer of the lesser omentum, which covers the anterior margin of the porta hepatis. This is the posterior layer of the lesser omentum. So lesser omentum has two layers, anterior layer and posterior layer. The anterior layer, this is anterior layer, which is derived from the peritoneum of the greater sac. The posterior layer is derived from the peritoneum of the lesser sac. This is peritoneum. This is horizontal limb and this is a vertical limb. This lesser omentum, the vertical limb is attached to the base of the fissure for the ligamentum venosum. There is a fissure, a cleft-like space into which the ligamentum venosum is attached. So the peritoneum, the vertical limb of the lesser omentum is attached here and it descends downwards. You have to imagine this is the posterior surface of the liver. From this it descends down. Here you can see this is the anterior view. This is the posterior view. You have to imagine. This descends down like that on the stomach. Here it has descended on the lesser curvature of the stomach. This is the anterior layer, what we can see. Posterior layer is behind. The anterior layer is formed by the peritoneum of the greater sac, whereas posterior layer is formed by peritoneum of the lesser sac. This is the upper margin. The attachment already we have seen. This is the lower margin of the lesser omentum, which is attached to the lesser curvature of the stomach, and also 2.5 centimeter of proximal part of the first part of duodenum. This is stomach continues as duodenum. This is the first part which is horizontal, second part is vertical. The proximal few centimeters of the first part of the duodenum is the lesser omentum extends over that. So this lesser omentum is divided in two parts. The part of the lesser omentum which suspends the liver, like which connects the liver to the lesser curvature of the stomach, is the hepatogastric ligament. You can remember the names depending on the parts which it connects. This is hepatoduodenal ligament, which connects the liver to the proximal part of first part of the duodenum. This is hepatoduodenal ligament. Okay. This is the right free margin of the lesser omentum. This is free. It is not attached anywhere. And within this free margin of the lesser omentum, we have three structures such as the common bile duct, hepatic artery, and the portal vein. Bile duct is present on the right side. Hepatic artery proper is present on the left side. In between this, behind is the portal vein. So these three structures are there in the right free margin of the lesser omentum. They go upwards, enter into the, these are the structures which are there in the hilum. The common bile duct, it descends down, portal vein ascends, and also the hepatic artery ascends and enter into the liver. So portal vein and hepatic artery enter into the liver, common bile duct, it descends down through the comes out of the porta hepatis and descends down through the right free margin of the lesser omentum. As it is not attached, it's a right free margin. If we pass, later I will explain that. Okay, the contents, already you know what are the contents in the right free margin of the lesser omentum. The common bile duct, hepatic artery, and the portal vein behind the two structures. Along the lesser curvature, we have the right and left gastric vessels and their branches which supply the lesser curvature of the stomach, and also the lymph nodes, lymphatics, nerve plexus are present in the lesser omentum. Lesser omentum may be asked as short note. That time you have to explain about what it is, what are the attachments, contents. See here, I told you know this right free margin. If we pass a finger behind this, that is behind the right free margin, there is a space which is called as epiploic foramen. We can pass a finger behind that and enter into the cavity of the lesser sac, which is present behind the stomach. This is through this epiploic foramen, the greater sac communicates with the lesser sac. If we pass the finger behind the right free margin, we can pass the finger through the epiploic foramen into the lesser sac. This is next. We move on to greater omentum. Greater omentum may be asked as short note. This is a apron-like fold of the peritoneum which covers the small intestine and the colon. This extends downwards from the greater curvature of the stomach. Attachments. The lesser curvature, this is lesser omentum. It has two layers, anterior layer and posterior layer. Anterior layer, it covers the anterior surface of the stomach, descends down as a first layer of the, see in this one you can differentiate. This black one is the peritoneum of the greater sac. This is lesser omentum extending from stomach, liver to the stomach. This is the anterior layer formed by peritoneum of the greater sac. The anterior layer covers the anterior anterosuperior surface of the stomach, descends down from the greater curvature as the first layer of the greater omentum. This blue line is the peritoneum of the lesser sac. This light blue space is the lesser sac. The brown one is the greater sac. This lesser sac, it is covered by peritoneum of the lesser sac. The posterior layer of lesser omentum is formed by the posterior layer of lesser sac, which descends down from the lesser curvature of stomach, covers the posterior surface of the stomach, descends down as the posterior layer or the second layer of the greater omentum. So this is first layer, this is second layer of greater omentum. Okay, the anterior layer forms the first layer, the posterior layer forms the second layer of greater omentum. These two layers, they descend down to a variable degree, then it folds upwards. It folds upwards. They descend down and folds upwards. So this is the first layer, this becomes the fourth layer. Second layer, it folds upon the fourth layer and forms the third layer. Okay, the first layer becomes the fourth layer, second layer becomes the third layer. As the first and second layers, they fold and goes backwards and upwards. Okay, all the four layers forms the greater omentum. The anterior layer is formed by first and second layer, posterior part is formed by third and fourth layer. And there is a space between second and third layer, which is the lesser sac. Okay, you understood how the layers in the greater omentum are formed? Or shall I explain once again? You understood? Anybody is listening to my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Every time the same voices I hear. Where are others?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
I can identify the voices also. Every time the same male voice and same female voice. Huh? What others are doing, this is a first class. You don't listen? Sleeping? Yes? Only three voices I heard. You understood?
Yes,
only
ma'am.
only 4 people are listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. You understood? Okay, then I will continue as you have understood. So that is about the attachment of the greater omentum. So from the greater curvature, it descends down to a variable degree and folds upon. Here also you can see first layer, second layer and a cavity of lesser sac, third layer, fourth layer, and this third and fourth layer, it extends over the transverse colon. This is the transverse colon. This is transverse colon. This is after puberty. The third layer covers the anterosuperior surface of the transverse colon. The fourth layer covers the posterior-inferior surface of the transverse colon, extends backwards to the posterior abdominal wall as transverse mesocolon. Okay, this peritoneum of the lesser sac forms the upper layer of transverse mesocolon. Lower layer is formed by peritoneum of the greater sac. This extends over the anterior surface of the pancreas. This is pancreas and again descends down. So that is the attachment of the greater omentum. Now the contents. Along the greater curvature of the stomach, we have the right gastric and the left gastroepiploic vessels and their branches. These two vessels, they run in the first and second layer of the greater omentum along the greater curvature, giving different smaller branches to the stomach to supply the greater curvature of the stomach. Then between the third and fourth layer, there is a space which is this lesser sac, peritoneum of the lesser sac will be there. That's the content. And in the transverse mesocolon, as it extends behind, it contains the vessels which supply the transverse colon. And a variable amount of fat will be there. So much amount of fat. You can see this yellow color is because of fat within it. And a white milky spots are present over the surface of the greater omentum, which are nothing but the collections of the macrophages, milky spots. This greater omentum is called the milky spots. They help for the protection against infections. This greater omentum, it is called as policeman of abdomen because whenever any infection is there in the abdomen, such as appendicitis, the greater momentum, it moves to right iliac fossa and tries to cover up that infection, tries to cover up that space, prevents the spread of infection to the other part of the peritoneum. So wherever infection is there, it moves. In case of appendicitis, this greater momentum will move to right iliac fossa and try to cover that, try to seal that infection. Why it is called like policeman? Whenever any problem is there, such as fights, the policeman will go there and try to contain the disturbance. Similarly, the greater momentum, whenever any infection is there, it moves to that right area, like it moves to that area and tries to seal it. That's why it is called as policeman of abdomen. You can see here, has moved to seal the infection in the appendicitis, or in case of ruptured gastric ulcer, it moves upwards and tries to seal that infection so that it will not infect the general peritoneal cavity. That is about greater momentum. Greater momentum is commonly asked short note. So whenever it is asked, you have to write what is it? Attachments, contents, functions, and the applied aspects. Now coming to the lesser sac, which is also commonly asked short note. This is also called as omental bursa. Omenta means pertaining to the stomach. This bursa or the space is present behind the stomach. So it is called omental bursa or lesser sac. During development, the peritoneal part of the peritoneal cavity goes behind the stomach and it is contained there. Hence, it is and sealed. Hence, it is formed. Hence, the lesser sac is formed, which is separated from the greater sac and connected with the greater sac with the help of epiploic foramen. This is a diverticulum of the greater sac. As I have told, during development, a part of it goes behind the stomach and connected with the main peritoneal cavity. There is a greater sac. It's a diverticulum of the greater sac. It is the position situated behind the, see, this is lesser omentum and stomach, situated behind the lesser omentum and the stomach, and up to variable degree into the folds of the greater omentum. The walls, there are 4 different walls. This is superior wall, this is the inferior wall, anterior wall, and the posterior wall. This grey colored area is the lesser sac. Here this is a sagittal section. So we can see the black one is a greater sac, the stomach, behind that the lesser sac. Here they have removed the stomach. They have removed the stomach and we can see this part, the posterior part of the lesser sac. The posterior part of the lesser sac or a omental bursa. Okay, this omental bursa or the lesser sac, we can compare it with a hot air bag with the mouth opened on the right side. This mouth is on the right side, this right side. So you can compare this omental bursa with the shape to the hot air bag. This is omental bursa. This is the upper margin, lower margin, left margin, right margin, and this is posterior surface. Okay, the right margin in the upper part, it is open. There is a epiploic foramen through which the greater sac is connected with the lesser sac. Below that we have the transverse colon and mesocolon. Different walls, the boundaries, the anterior wall, this is the anterior wall. This anterior wall from above downwards. anterior wall, it is formed by the peritoneum of the lesser sac, which descends down from the diaphragm to the caudate lobe of the liver. This lesser sac is covered by the peritoneum of the lesser sac. Caudate lobe of the liver, from above downwards, caudate lobe of the liver, then posterior layer of lesser omentum, then posterior surface of the stomach, and second layer of the greater omentum. Between the two layers of the greater omentum, the lesser sac the space is very less, and that is the anterior wall. Okay, caudate lobe of liver, posterior layer of lesser omentum, posterior-inferior surface of the stomach, then second layer of greater omentum. You follow the cursor, then you will understand. Okay, are you getting it? Posterior wall, are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Oh, very slowly you are telling yes, ma'am. Tell loudly.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Posterior layer. See, if you don't understand, you can interrupt at any time. Okay. This is a bit difficult to understand. That's why I'm telling you. Take your time to understand. If you're not getting interrupted at any time, I am ready to explain n number of times. Okay. Posterior wall. This is the posterior wall. From above downwards, it covers the diaphragm, under surface of the diaphragm, then left suprarenal gland, left kidney, anterior surface of the body of pancreas, then upper layer of transverse mesocolon. This is transverse mesocolon, upper layer of transverse mesocolon, and the antero-superior surface of the transverse colon, third layer of greater omentum. That's the posterior wall. This is the posterior wall. With the help of the diagrams, you can remember. For that, you have to practice the diagram. Then you can explain easily. The upper margin from the undersurface of the liver, that is from right and left crust of the diaphragm, it is going to invest the caudate lobe of the liver. So that part forms the upper margin of the liver. Below lower margin, it is different before puberty and after puberty. You have to understand this. This is the lower margin of the lesser sac before puberty, because the third layer, second layer forms the fourth layer, and first layer forms the fourth layer. Between second and third layer of the greater omentum, there is a space of the lesser sac. The third layer, it goes to the post-abdominal wall, covers the pancreas, and again invest the transverse colon. Here it forms this is the upper layer of the transverse mesocolon. The fourth layer, after puberty, this fourth layer and the upper layer of the transverse mesocolon, they fuse with each other. This layer and this layer, they fuse with each other, and the space is obliterated. Initially, there is a space between the greater omentum and transverse colon, mesocolon, they are separated. There is a space in between. Later, this fourth layer fuses with the upper layer of the transverse mesocolon, attach with each other, and because of zygosis, the two layers get attached with each other. So this third layer forms, it covers the upper and anterior surface of the transverse colon, reflected as the upper layer of the transverse mesocolon. The fourth layer, it covers the posterior inferior surface of the transverse colon reflected as posterior layer of the transverse mesocolon over the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, and the space between the second and third layer is reduced. So just below the greater curvature of the stomach, there is a very little space, the lesser sac. Like before puberty, there is a space between the greater second and third layer of the greater omentum. This space is obliterated after puberty. This will be up to like few centimeters below the greater curvature of the stomach. Otherwise, the lesser curvature is behind the lesser omentum and the stomach. Okay. So this is how the space of the lesser sac before puberty and after puberty differ. You understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The right margin. So we have studied about right upper margin, lower margin, right the anterior wall, posterior wall. Now right margin and the left margin we'll study. Right margin of the lesser sac in the upper part is free because of there is epiploic foramen through which the greater sac communicates with the lesser sac. Below it is formed by the right free margin of the greater omentum. Left side it is formed by left free margin of the greater omentum. Left side it is sealed because the lesser omentum in the upper part from the anterior surface of the stomach, it is reflected over the diaphragm as gastrophrenic ligament, so it is sealed. From the greater curvature to the spleen as gastrosplenic ligament, there it is sealed. Below, in the lower part, the left margin of the greater omentum. So left margin is completely sealed, whereas right margin in the upper part, because the right lesser omentum, the right margin is free. It is not attached behind to any structure. So when we pass a finger behind this, that is epiploic foramen through which the greater sac communicates with the lesser sac. So here you can see this is the right free margin, the lesser omentum. This is epiploic foramen through which the greater sac communicates with the lesser sac. This whole thing is a lesser sac. The pink area is a greater sac, blue area is lesser sac. This is epiploic foramen. Epiploic foramen may be asked as short answer or short note. So you should know the relations. This epiploic foramen is also called as foramen of Winslow, additus to the lesser sac. Additus means opening to the lesser sac. The lesser sac communicates with the greater sac. This is the epiploic foramen relations. The upper part, the epiploic foramen is related above with the caudate process of the caudate lobe of liver, caudate process of the liver. Below, it is related with the first part of the duodenum and also the pancreas. In front, it is related with the right free margin of the lesser omentum. Already you know what are the contents. So, these contents also form the anterior relations, such as the common bile duct, hepatic artery, portal vein within the right free margin of lesser omentum forms the anterior relation. Behind, it is related with the inferior vena cava. This is a sagittal section. Okay, easy to draw. This is the transverse section of the abdomen. Stomach, right free margin of lesser omentum. This is inferior vena cava. This is epiploic foramen. This epiploic foramen is at the level of T12 vertebra. This is at the level of T12 vertebra, epiploic foramen. So those are the boundaries. What is epiploic foramen? What are the boundaries? And now we'll see what are the subdivisions. If epiploic foramen is asked, you have to write that, and also the applied aspect. That I will explain later. Now, how the lesser sac is divided? It is divided into two parts by the two folds. The left gastropancreatic fold and the right gastropancreatic fold into two parts. See, this is right gastropancreatic fold, this is left gastropancreatic fold. The upper part is called as superior recess. The lower part is called as inferior recess or the omental bursa proper. This is inferior recess. Okay. And what are the other recesses? The part of the lesser sac, it goes into the hilum of the spleen, which is called as splenic recess. This is splenic recess. These are the subdivisions of the lesser sac. Applied aspects. Internal hernia. The organs, different abdominal organs, they herniate through the epiploic foramen into the lesser sac. Either the organs or the mesentery also may herniate into the lesser sac. That is called internal hernia. And infections from the greater sac will go into the lesser sac. Again, that I will explain tomorrow with applied aspects. Here you have to write. If lesser sac is asked, you have to write. If epiploic foramen is asked, you have to write the applied aspects. The internal hernia and infection from the greater sac will go into the lesser sac, such as the cholecystitis, and in case of the posterior ulcers present on the posterior wall of the stomach, if they perforate, the secretions from the stomach or the contents of the stomach will go into the lesser sac and seals the opening, the epiploic foramen. That time there is a collection of fluid and pus. The pus may be there in the lesser sac. Okay, that I will explain tomorrow. Mesentery, it is a fold of. It is a broad fan-shaped fold of the peritoneum which suspends the small intestine. Coils of the small intestine such as jejunum and ileum. Mesentery is also asked as a short note. The maximum breadth is 20 centimeter, which is there in the center, and towards the upper part and lower part it decreases in breadth. In the center the breadth is more. It has two borders, attached border and the free border. The attached border is called as root of mesentery, where the mesentery is attached to the posterior abdominal wall. Free border is called intestinal border, which suspends the coils of the small intestine. Here this coil, this is mesentery. At the root, the length is only 15 centimeter, whereas at the intestinal border, as it suspends the coils of the small intestine, the length of the small intestine is 6 meters. So the intestinal border is 6 meters. There is a discrepancy in the length of attached border and the free border. Root of mesentery, it extends from the duodenojejunal flexure to the right sacroiliac joint. Duodenojejunal flexure, it's a bend where the duodenum continues as jejunum. Duodenojejunal flexure. Then the third part of the duodenum, then abdominal aorta, inferior vena cava, the right ureter, right psoas major, right sacroiliac joint. The root of mesentery extends over these structures. It forms the root of the mesentery. See here, it is cut. This is the attachment of the root of the mesentery. This is 15 centimeter long, directed obliquely from left to right. left side of L2 to the front of right sacroiliac joint. Contains superior mesenteric vessels and their branches. They form an arterial arcade. These vessels, they divide and form arterial arcades and give long branches which supply the small intestine. These branches are called as vasa recta. As we extend from jejunum to the ileal coils, these arterial arcades will increase. And the vasa recta in the jejunum is long, they are long, whereas in the ileum it is short. These vasa rectae are short. Distribution of fat. In the jejunum, the distribution of fat is more near the root than the intestinal border, whereas ileum it is same throughout. So, and the vasa rectae in the jejunum, they are long. We can see a window are the translucent areas. When we hold the mesentery to the light, we can see the translucent areas. This is called window. The window in the jejunum, they are clearly visible as fat here is less and they are rectangular, whereas the windows in the windows present in the ileum, mesentery of the ileum is square shaped because the vasa rectae are short and not visible clearly because the fat will be more. Other contents are autonomic nerves, plexus, lymphatics, and the fat. So, other folds, the fold of the peritoneum which suspends the appendix extends from the terminal part of the ileum to the tip of the appendix is mesoappendix. Through this, the appendicular artery will run and give branches to the appendix. Transverse mesocolon, this is transverse mesocolon which suspends the coils of the transverse colon. Sigmoid mesocolon, this suspends the sigmoid colon. It is inverted V-shaped with apex located in front of the left ureter and division of the ciliary. This is transverse attachment of transverse mesocolon. This is attachment of sigmoid mesocolon, which is inverted V-shaped. The other ligaments I will explain tomorrow. The ligaments and the reflections. Okay. So read today, like whatever I have taught, you read it today. Because peritoneum is very important. You'll get so many important questions. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I'll end the class.
Thank you,
thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.